All right. Hello and good morning, everybody. My name is Jason Flame, chairman of the Moore Park Chamber of Commerce. I'm excited to bring to you another chamber chat with one of our amazing members. And let me introduce him right away. This is Brian Barry. He is the executive director of the Ventura County Medical Association and past president of Dale Carnegie Global Corporate Solutions, where he was recognized twice as Global Trainer of the Year. With over 30 years of international experience, he has founded several startups and earned honors for his groundbreaking work in diversity, inclusion, and entrepreneurship. His expertise spans board leadership, governance, succession planning, organizational design, and executive performance improvement. Brian serves on numerous boards and advisory committees, including the American Red Cross Central Coast Region, the National Human Resources Association, and the Honor Foundation. An award-winning author, keynote presenter, and organizational development expert. He also brings a touch of magic as a member of the Academy of I almost said martial arts, magical arts at the world famous Magic Castle. Brian, welcome to our show today. How are you?
Oh, just great, Jason, and thanks for pulling us all together.
Yeah, man, it's great. This is a perfect time. I love this time, 9 a.m. Get our day started, introduce you to everybody out there. And for those of you that are watching live, if you guys have any questions for Brian, please just throw those in the comments. I'll be happy to ask them. I got plenty of questions for Brian just to help get to know him and what he does with his company. So, Brian, can you just give us a little, just kind of get us started, give us a little more information that I didn't give you in that bio?
Well, sure. The Ventura County Medical Association, we're a 501(c)(6) membership association for all the physicians in Ventura County. So my job is to bring all the best resources to the physicians and their practices and their families so they can be better physicians. So that covers all of our hospitals. I think we have, five real uh, nice hospitals. We get about 300 medical groups and a bunch of private practice physicians. We also have a bunch of medical residents in Ventura County. And
Mhm.
we're also a component society, Jason, of the California Medical Association up in Sacramento. So that's our motherships. They provide amazing resources for all the physicians so they could be, more efficient in their patient care. We're also the legislative arm for patients and physicians. So we pound out all the resolutions and bills and measures to get them on the ballot in Sacramento and drive that. So we're really the voice of the medical community. So uh, that's where we are. So I'm entering into my fourth year here, and got an amazing board and good things happening.
Well, and it sounds like you've got a lot on your hands, a lot to take care of, a lot going on. How did you get into this industry?
Well, my background is clinical orthopedics and sports medicine. So I've been an athletic trainer since I was 14. And
Hmm.
growing up in Detroit, I remember running back a punt and got my bell rung. And I was looking through the ear hole of the helmet, which was twisted around on my head. And we had an orthopedic surgeon on the sideline. And so he was checking me out. And I'm thinking, at that moment, I'd like to be on the other end of that pen light. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've been an athletic trainer all through high school and then undergrad. And then my first job out of grad school was at University of Colorado in Boulder. So I was the associate head athletic trainer there and taught biophysics. And then 86 moved to San Diego. I was the director of sports medicine at San Diego State for many, many years. And that's where I really got into performance improvement and leadership development on top of the actual medical. But I was also an orthopedic physician assistant, which allowed me to do surgery with my orthopedic surgeons on my players, which gave me great insight as to what the trauma was and how to rehab them. And
Wow.
yeah, so it just kind of grew from there. And then while at San Diego State, I had a really good relationship with all my vendors, and I had a real good relationship with my knee brace manufacturer, Smith and Nephew Donjoy, which was in Carlsbad, and I helped develop several braces, and one of them you see on all the college players.
Hmm.
And so I was plucked out of the comfort zone of the state university system, which nobody dared leave at that time. But I knew there was something more out there. I didn't know what.
Hmm.
Before I knew I was in charge of this global knee brace division, I had no freaking clue what I was doing. And worked that along, and then I started my own company. And put together a product called the proprioceptor, which we'll take another podcast to explain it. But with that, I almost killed the president of Callaway Golf. There's a good story behind that. And just got into leadership development, and then got into Dale Carnegie with one of my partners. And so for years, I've been going around the world untangling cantankerous, dysfunctional boards and doing performance improvement and asking the right questions. And here we are. And I love the chamber. I was the chief of staff for the Los Angeles area Chamber of Commerce for many years with Maria Salinas, which is a huge chamber. And but I was fortunate enough to deal with a lot of the chambers around the country and get a good look under the hood as to what they were doing and where we could assist. So that kind of brings us here to 2025, kind of full circle. So
Wow. That sounds like just a lot of experience in a lot of different areas. And I mean, you've had it sounds like, quite the career in several different areas. So let's talk about leadership a little bit, leadership across, the different disciplines. You've held leadership roles in healthcare, corporate training, entrepreneurship, and even as a magician. How do these seemingly different worlds influence the way you approach leadership and problem solving today?
yeah, it's interesting you said that. I get asked all the time, God, careers switch a whole lot. And
Yeah.
reflecting on it, I remind those that say that careers usually don't change a whole lot. We tend to figure out how to make money at doing what we love doing. Our jobs will change though, but we're always in leadership roles in terms of managing people and process. So, leaders lead people, managers lead processes. There's two very reverent bodies of work. They're a nice wine pairing together. But leaders lead people, managers lead processes. And um, whatever role I've been in, I've always been in a leadership role, but also trying to figure out what's going on. So it's either a people problem or a process problem. That's it.
Hmm.
It could be both, but those are the two buckets you look at. And uh, I learned from an orthopedic surgeon friend of mine when I met her back in San Diego. She was 174 years old when I met her, which makes her like Yoda now. And we're walking down the hall. We just got done putting in a femoral rod on a player, and it's about 3:45 in the morning. Jason, and all the lights are starting to go down, and we're bloody, we're tired. She goes, "Hey, B squared, you look really thirsty. You look like you could use a cold beer right about now." Oh my God, that sounds great. She goes, "Well, we're in luck because I've got some in the doctor's lounge." And then she said something that changed my life. She says, "You know what, Brian? You can always tell somebody that's smart by the answers and information they give." She said, "But you can always tell somebody that's wise by the questions they ask." And she looked me square in the eyes right then. She said, "Now, which kind of leader are you going to be?" I never, ever, ever forgot that. So when we ask the right questions, purposeful questions, the other person will tell us exactly what they need. And we compound the elixir and we put it in. Uh, We tend to blab too much. So, asking the right questions, it's just like diagnosing the real pathology, rather than hoping to God something works out.
Right, right. Hey, and we've got quite a few viewers jumping on. Just want to say hello to everybody that's jumping on just in the last few minutes. I'm talking to Brian Barry with Ventura County Medical Association. If you guys have any questions for Brian, please let us know. I got plenty of questions and stuff to talk about, but if there's something that you want to know, please drop those comments. And yeah, Jackie's watching and she said, that's some pretty amazing insight. I tend to talk with my staff about this a lot when we have challenges that come up in our business. And, asking the right questions always kind of helps you narrow down which path we're going to take to solve this problem. And you're right. Some people talk more than they listen, and that's why God gave us two ears and one mouth, right? Twice as much listening,
That's what
half as much
Diogenes
talking, right?
said. Remember that great quote from Pulp Fiction? Do you listen or just wait to talk? Yeah,
Great movie, by the way. Great movie.
that's right.
Hey, Sean Nelson is watching. Good morning, Sean. Great to see you here today.
Hey,
All
Sean.
right. Yeah, we got a bunch of people watching, so that's awesome. And again, Brian, it's just kind of crazy to hear that you've done so much. You're a pretty young guy, right? And you sound like you've lived for 180 years, like this person that you were talking about before.
Oh God, yeah. Well, what did Indiana Jones say? It's not the years, it's the
It's the
mileage, right?
mileage. It's the mileage. See, we're gonna get into talking about movies before we talk about anything else. But let's talk about board governance and succession. You've worked extensively in board leadership and organizational design. What do you see as the biggest mistakes boards make when it comes to governance and succession planning, and how can they get it right?
Ooh, succession planning is job number one for a leader, and it's unfortunately it's usually about 37th on the list. And there's a big difference between succession planning, talent management, and performance management. And I've learned the hard way uh, that we need to always define the performance first, crystal clear, and then the performers will reveal themselves. What often happens at the board level, you get friends, colleagues, people that are part of this, and all of a sudden they've got that secret handshake, or they don't have the clarification of the importance of the role and how the role is going to benefit the organization. So that miscommunication is a big factor. We see it in paid boards, family-run companies, definitely nonprofits. And nonprofits, you hear, well, we're just a volunteer organization. No, you're a board member, and by law, you've got a fiscal responsibility and a fiduciary responsibility. You got to run it top drawer. So, with a good board, you want a diverse group. I know how to do finance, but I don't like it. I'd rather eat my spleen. So, getting getting a good finance hawk that speaks nothing but due diligence and risk management, and that's just absolutely a detailed oriented, is somebody you want on your board. So you want that diversity that is committed to their role, and they're committed uh, to the organization. First and foremost.
Well, and give us a couple examples of things where a board goes wrong, and be as specific as you can.
Sure. Well, they may be in it just for the title and it makes them feel good. On a good note, when I was on the board of the American Red Cross, uh, the new director came in, Jim McGee, and he had a business mindset in terms of, again, defining the performance first, and then the board will reveal itself. So we had, God, we had like 140 board members and all that, and they just loved being part of the Red Cross, but they didn't really have any activity or responsibility when to be part of it. So what can we do? Because these are precious supporters, right? So we created a new category for them, kind of, like the President's Club or something like that. And we put that together, and then we narrowed it down to the executive team that was actually going to be action oriented. We did the same thing with the Chamber of Commerce uh, for Los Angeles. 145 board members, 145, and these were the Sanhedrin of Greater Los Angeles. But are they really the executive team? So I did a thorough survey with Maria Salinas, our CEO, around the country as to what makes up an optimal board, and it really shaved down to about 8 to 12, 8 to 13 consistently that were the decision makers. But what do we do with the rest of the group that are huge supporters? Well, we fuss all over them. We create another body that's generated just for that level of contribution, so to speak. So really filtering it down, making sure you've got an active board that knows they need to develop. And a board member, particularly in a nonprofit, really has, three roles: cut a check, get access to a check, or turn the organization on to whoever else can cut the check. That's it. You start there. Everything else is window dressing, and so you're either contributing or you're deleting, which is it? And so I'm all about results oriented, and I don't measure activity. That's implied. You ought to be doing that anyway. I want to know what you pulled off.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I'm a numbers guy, so when it comes to my own business, numbers don't lie. So you gotta have a finger on the pulse and know what results are actually coming from our actions. And like you said, yeah, we should absolutely be active, but having good results. And I'm proud to say that as you've noticed, our chamber has had some explosive growth over this last better part of, a year, but really definitely in this last 8 months. I mean, our
Yeah,
chamber has grown by, what are we at? 47 new members, which is pretty amazing considering that last year we did about 32 or so. So, and
right.
that's, and our retention has been really, really strong. We've added a lot of new events that are engaging and getting everybody involved. We're reaching out to see how we can help our members in a deeper way. But I think Sean nailed it too when she was talking about being on the board. She said, "I feel like being on the board really should lead with service first over self." And going back to what you said, man, sometimes you do get people that jump on a board because the title sounds nice or the attention feels good. But if you're not there to actually lead with service and make a difference and help out, um, it really, in the end, in the long run, really hurts the board.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that because I do a lot of career coaching too with chairman of the boards, mid-level execs, brand new students, and I get asked, what can I do to spark my career? I said, well, find a nonprofit that you're really, really passionate about at this point in your life, and don't just volunteer. I consider that human being 101. You ought to be doing that anyway. But to serve in a leadership role in that nonprofit, even if it's on the envelope licking committee, right? Several benefits. First benefit is you're going to surround yourself with like-minded, value-based human beings. They're the worst people to hang out with, right? So that's a good thing. Second thing, you can hone your chops, your your strategic planning, your communication, your team building, problem analysis, all that stuff where you may not necessarily get to in your core job. So that's another thing. Third thing, it's going to look good on your resume because when I refer somebody or hire somebody or interview somebody, one of the questions I'll ask is, please describe what leadership role you serve in your community. And I'll either get a blank face or a smile. Call it a character attribute. I'm going to go for the contributor rather than the deleter, the service, like Sean said, the service minded rather than the deleter. Okay. Next thing, it it's good for the karma credit card, which comes with a very, very detailed invoice. Good will come. So even if you have a little bit, what's in it for me? That's okay as long as it fills your heart and fills your passion. The next benefit is you're going to make some amazing friends. So some of my best friends have been through good community service board work, and you just lather, rinse, repeat that. And so there may be some people out there struggling with what to do. Well, jump in on a good nonprofit that's going to benefit the community. You never know, what that may ignite in terms of passion.
Absolutely. And there's so many different opportunities. I mean, the Moore Chamber of Commerce is one opportunity. You have your Rotary clubs, you have your Kiwanis clubs, um, you have the women's club. I mean, there's so many different clubs. And then there's, these special events. We have Moore Park Country Days coming up, Holiday on High Street. How can you get involved in making those events better, better for the community. And I totally agree as far as, surrounding yourself with those types of people, because these are our people. We become friends, and that group of friends is so much stronger together to make things happen than just one person. So it's just a huge, huge ripple effect. I want to talk a little bit
Oh yeah.
more, about, performance and people. You've coached countless executives on professional development and performance improvement. What's one breakthrough moment or lesson you've seen change the trajectory of a leader's career?
Well, since you say that, when we're dealing with any meeting, it could be AM, PM with the same company, it could be with different groups. You get several levels of participants. You get the eager ones that are geeked about what they're doing. We call them the learners. They're kind of easy to work with. Then you got the deer in the headlights group, like, what the heck? All right. So they're going to need some coaching. And then you get the ninjas, and they're in there with sharpened spears and blowguns trying to sabotage it. You got to watch out for them. And then you have the hostages, like, I dare you to teach me something like that. Double dare you. When we coach properly and really, like you said, ask the right questions and truly listen with our two ears, right? The last two groups, the hostages and the ninjas, are often the ones that experience the most profound breakthroughs when you coach properly. And, remember, doubt is not necessarily a bad thing. It means they're listening. They're just not convinced yet. So when I get into an organization, I'll look for those that, are like, yeah, right. Like, and those are, when I ask a CEO this question, what's the most important asset in your organization? What do they usually say? It's the what?
People.
It's the people, right? Yeah, we've heard worse answers, "Oh, it's our IT division. Oh, it's our logistics." Yeah, really? All right. And I always remind them that it's not the people that's the most important asset in your organization. It's the untapped potential of the people. That's your biggest asset. So there may be somebody in the wrong position. There may be somebody that needs to be ignited. Find out what that is. And you never know what turnaround or breakthrough you're going to have. And it may be in those last two categories. It's kind of neat. So, there's something good in everybody that, with multi-generational workforces too, you know,
Yeah,
every age, every skill level has something to contribute, right? Remember
100%.
Alexander the Great whined about the new hires easily distracted with technology, lack of work ethic. Yeah, all right. Our grandparents said the same thing about you and I, right? And or Mark Twain once said, "History doesn't repeat itself; it sure does rhyme." But I've learned when you really define the performance and you tap in, every generation has something to contribute, and that's what you want. You want
I,
that diverse thought.
I love it. Well, definitely, and that's, one thing that I really love about our current board is there's a lot of diversity, and you talked about, untapped potential, and I couldn't help but think about some of the young students that I teach in our leadership training program, that we develop from sixth grade. Once you're in sixth grade, we invite them into a leadership development program, where they may potentially become an instructor down the line, or if anything else, they're just learning important leadership skills that can help them at school, on the field, or in life. And there's so many kids that kind of, and this could happen in organizations where someone is maybe pushed to the side or held to the side because we don't know what they have to offer, because they're not as forthcoming, or they're not as aggressive as some of the other people that are super eager to make things happen. But all of a sudden, you find the diamond in the rough, and you find this student who all of a sudden, out of nowhere, is able to just take the reins of, in my case, teaching a class or warming up a class or working with young students. And you're like, well, where the heck did that come from? And if we never gave them the opportunity to, you know develop that untapped potential, or give them an opportunity, um, we would just never know it was there. And we find it in our organization, where someone is passionate about something specific, and all of a sudden, we have something that we've never done before, never been able to offer before. I mean, right now, I'm thinking right out of the gate because I see Sean's name on my screen, but we never had a social media workshop within our organization. And man, what a huge asset that's become for our members to be able to offer that. But because she's passionate and willing to give of her time, like, cool, there's some potential that had been untapped.
Right. Yeah, little levers move mountains, and one org or one committee doesn't need to do it all, but when you put them all together, man, good things happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. So, recognition and service. You've been honored for your work in diversity, inclusion, and service from the Red Cross to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Which recognition or experience has been most meaningful to you personally, and why?
Wow, that's an astute question. Because in the moment when um, those were bestowed, you think back on why you were receiving it and what impact you had. And, the measurement of a good leader is those who you were fortunate enough to lead, in your team, in the success they had. So, uh, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society was a particularly interesting one because that happened right when COVID hit. And it was the inaugural one for the Conejo Valley. There wasn't one there. So we had to start that from scratch, all virtual, and we still were able to pull it off. Um, but the one of the best ones was, the first time I was awarded the Global Trainer of the Year for Dale Carnegie, because that comes from the participants around the world, not Dale Carnegie. So that was a surprise that I was able to get that, and it was based upon those that I was fortunate enough to coach in all the various courses, and that meant a lot because it sparked me that I was on the right thing, and I didn't need to go cookbook, that I could get in and really get inside people's hearts and minds, and like you said, about you know untapping potential. That's what a leadership's measured by, is you create an environment where others are motivated themselves to change. There's no such thing as a motivational leader. No one can be forced to do something they don't want to do.
Mhm.
What good leaders do is influence and inspire others to motivate themselves to change. You give them that shot, like you getting somebody up for the first time, leading a group, leading a class. That's stepping out of their comfort zone, but in a safe environment, and you
Mhm.
recognize them accordingly. And so I think, being recognized by my peers, and those are probably the most precious awards.
Absolutely. Yeah, good for you. Cool. I want to talk about one more thing so people can learn just a little bit more about you. And this is outside the medical field, but you have the magic of connection as a member of the Academy of Magical Arts at the Magic Castle. How has magic helped you connect with people in business and leadership? And do you think every leader needs a little magic in their toolkit?
Oh, yeah, that's interesting you said that. First of all, when people find out I was a certified athletic trainer, CEOs, in intense meetings will say, I've got this shoulder. Can you take a look at it? But when they find out that I'm a magician, the conversation just completely shifts, and everybody in the room turns into 11-year-old kids. And so, whenever I'm teaching a group course or whatever, I've got to capture the audience. So I'm always going to mix in magic that's relevant to the message, whether it's innovation, creation, stepping out of your comfort zone, making sure you engage people. So there's always a way to weave it in. And, it's pretty neat. But the Academy of Magical Arts is, uh, the largest association for magicians. There's a bunch of them out there. We all play very well together. But the Magic Castle is the home of the Academy of Magical Arts, and it is literally considered the most unique, exclusive private clubs in the world, because you can only get in with a guest pass from a magician member, and it's kind of neat. So, that wow effect is cool. It is a true academy where we are learning all the time and dusting off old tricks that have been around for thousands of years and then inventing new ones. And so you're always stretching it because you don't want anything to get stale or familiar. But it's making that wow effect and looking at people's faces and
Hmm.
whether they're kids or 80-year-olds in a senior home.
Yeah,
Kind of neat.
definitely. Jackie and I have had the pleasure of being at the Magic Castle a couple times. Super, super cool experience. And so I urge anybody that has the opportunity to go and check it out. And it's funny that you talk about that wow factor. I've been doing martial arts since 1985. It's that has always been my career. But I start to get to talking to people, and the one thing that comes up is that I did some professional wrestling for almost 10 years. And people, I could be so excited to talk about martial arts, and all they think is Hulk Hogan. All they want to talk about is professional wrestling. So I totally get that with the Magic, and what a cool thing for you to just be able to, you know, pull a rabbit out of the hat every now and again, right? And just wow them with something new.
It's kind of yeah. I was there last night, and famous magician Richard Turner, who you may have seen on America's Got Talent and Penn and Teller, who's a blind magician and one of the most gifted, did his last performance at the Magic Castle last night. So Penn was there, and uh, several other magician royalty were there to honor
Wow.
him. It was a neat thing to see.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, listen, I'm going to give you a second just to kind of gather your thoughts and let you close out the show. But before you do, I want to let everybody know about some events that are coming up with the Chamber of Commerce here in September. So, coming up on Tuesday, September 2nd, we have a mixer and ribbon cutting at Sedora Home and Gift Studio at 5 p.m. We have on Thursday, September 11th, a Young Professionals Lunch at 12 p.m. at California Bun. We have our social media workshop on Tuesday, September 16th at 6 p.m. at our chamber office. We have a Topic on Tap event coming up. It was originally scheduled for September 18th, although I think that date is going to be moved. So stay tuned on a new date for our Topic on Tap. Friday, September 19th, we're coming back with our networking breakfast at 8 a.m. at 95 at Lucky Fool's Pub. We are doing our networking breakfast every month now and not just every other month. And then in October, we're going to have another job fair. So on September 25th, we have a resume building workshop at 5 p.m. at the chamber office. So we invite you guys to join us for those events. Get involved, whether you're a member, you're not a member yet. Let us show you the value and benefits, and we'd love to have you join us. And I'm just going to turn it back to Brian, real quick, and close out with anything that we haven't talked about yet.
Well, yeah, if any have any questions or want to talk shop about things that are going on with your own business, an honor and privilege to assist in any capacity. So, if you sit up in the middle of the night and you have a question that's burning, call Jason and he'll get a hold of me. You call,
Text me.
yeah, call me anytime. I'm on LinkedIn, which is the only social media I'm using right now. Though I went to Sean's session, which was super informative. So she's inspired me to create a new Facebook and a couple other things. So I'm going to need some help on that. But yeah, Sean, thank you for that because you kicked me into gear. But I am on LinkedIn and I write booming letters of recommendation, by the way. So, just to let me know.
All right. Well, Brian, thank you so much for just sharing all your experience with us today and being a part of our Chamber of Commerce and offering your services to us and your expertise. So we look forward to the relationship continuing and wishing you all the best. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason, for your leadership and all you're doing. You can feel it in Moore Park. There's a different vibe, different pulse, and no surprise, buddy. So let's looking forward to many, many success stories ahead, right?
Yep. Yes, sir. Sounds great. Well, guys, thank you for watching us today on this week's Chamber Chat with Brian Barry from Ventura County Medical Association. If you would like to be featured on this Chamber Chat, please contact the office and talk with Cody, 805-529-0322. We'll get you on our schedule on a Monday coming up, maybe in October, I think is when our next availability is, but I'd love to give you the opportunity to share about you and your business. So let us know and go make it a great day, guys, and an excellent week. We'll see you real soon. Take care.